Because the reality is that all change, even change that is for the better, is going to come with challenges. It's not going to be easy. And this is why we slip up. This is Katie Gordon, and you're listening to the Wait is Over podcast. Welcome, health and freedom seekers. Sit back and relax as you come on this journey of overcoming obstacles so you can lose weight, gain health, and live the life you've been looking for. Hello, freedom seekers, and welcome to this week's show. I'm your host, Katie Gordon, and the wait is over with Dietless Living 360 degrees. There's no recipes, food regimes, or exercise programs to follow. This is simply about how to take your life back, how to take control, because we all have a voice and we want to be heard. We want to forget about dieting, focus on living, and lose weight. And to do that, we need to develop our personal health leadership skills so that we can find our freedom through a new state of mind, a state of mind that moves us beyond the obstacles and challenges of life and our own unconscious programs, because that's ultimately what's impacting on our weight and health and causing habit relapse. And the purpose of this podcast is to share with you what I learned over 25 years in dieting hell and spending over $100,000 working out how to step into dietless living. And today I wanted to talk to you about what does it actually mean to change, like to change our behaviors. What does it actually take to be able to do that? Because just because we want to change something doesn't mean that it's actually easy. I remember the many times that I've wanted to change something, whether it was when I wanted to give up smoking, whether it was to do with weight loss, whether it was to, I want to increase my exercise. I want to do it this many days. I'd write it in the schedule. I'd do all these things. And still, I wouldn't follow through with the changes that I wanted to make. And it always baffled me because, when I say I'm going to change, I think that that's my word against me or my word for me, and that my word is the final word. However, it's just not the way it works, is it? And I know you can relate to this, because if you've ever tried to change something, sometimes it is easy. In that minute you go, yes, bing bang bong, I'm in, I'm done, this is what I'm doing. But then at some point it gets harder, and sometimes it's just hard right off the bat. I remember with food, it would be I would be going great, but then I might go to a social event, or I might, somebody wants to, like my partner might have wanted to get pizza on a Friday night, and that would be where the little crisis moments would be, where there would be this war inside of me about one going, hey, no, we're not doing it, and the other one going, yeah, shut up you, I'm in, give me the pizza. And these little wars are what goes on all the time. And this is why habit change and behavioral change are challenging, because this is what we have to negotiate with ourselves on any given day at any given moment. Because the reality is that all change, even change that is for the better, is going to come with challenges. It's not going to be easy, and this is why we slip up. And I don't like to really talk about the hardship of it, because I remember when people would talk about the hardship, I just go, yeah, well, I'm not doing that, thank you very much. But it was in not knowing how hard it would be at times, not all the time, but at times, it was not in that not knowing that it was going to be challenging that was my greatest emotional turmoil, because I used to just think it was something wrong with me, because look, are those people there? They're changing. They're not having any trouble. Why am I having so much dilemma with myself? And so it's this understanding that there's going to be some struggle. There's going to be some challenges to overcome. And when it comes to food, if you go on any of those big crash diets like I used to, there'd be an elimination diet, where you got to give up all the yeast and the sugars and the caffeine and everything all at once. Oh, my Lord, the terrible body symptoms that you have to go through. You get headaches, you get achy, and you get flu-like symptoms. You can get mood swings and all kinds of really unpleasant emotional states and physical states, and yet you're meant to still be off at work, being smiley and happy with people and producing 100%. And just as a little sidebar, that's why making small changes over time is actually better than this jumping all in and trying to do it all at once. Because if you make small changes over time, it's actually lessened all of that stuff, because you don't have these massive withdrawals from substances. But that's a little side point. So let's just kind of get back to why it's a bit challenging to actually create these habit changes, these behavioral changes that lead to habit change, because that's actually what the distinction is. It is actually having a behavioral change that leads to the habit change. The habit change doesn't lead to the behavioral change. They're very interlocked together, and that can be confusing. But the reality is your behavior has to change for the habit to change. Your behavior has to change for you to be able to implement the new steps that you need to take to implement a habit. And the other reality is that a lot of the habit changes that we make for ourselves, behavioral changes, anytime that we want to change anything, everything in our life is actually like a little game of Jenga, where you make small, pull out something here, pull out something there, and then there's a big crash if you pull out the wrong thing. And eventually in Jenga, you're always going to get a big crash. There's no point where that isn't going to happen. It's just about who's it going to happen to. And these changes can be the same in life. We don't know which one of these little changes is going to create a bit of a crash in our social circle or in our family circle, because every change we make has a ripple effect out into every area of our life. Now, there are all kinds of things, and I think I'll save the majority of these for a podcast for another day. It's just that we need to be aware that, like I said at the beginning, that all change, even change for the better, will come with a challenge. And whether that challenge comes from our own self, or whether that challenge comes from somebody near and dear to us, or maybe it comes from somebody who's not so near and dear to us, but somebody who's in our life who is affected, because that ripple effect goes out a very long way when any one of us makes any kind of a change. And all of that is really circumvented when we develop our personal health leadership skills. This is what personal health leadership skills are really designed to do, is to be able to not only lead us, ourselves, through the behavioral changes, through the challenges, through the opposition from our own unconscious mind to wanting to change, from opposition from outside influences, from any internal or external friction. Personal health leadership skills, when we have these, when we've honed these, when we've learnt the techniques and the strategies, the timeless principles for implementing them, when these steps are in place, we can handle all of that friction with a lot more ease. We can move beyond that. We can integrate people into our lives, into what it is that we're doing. We can pull people in, including ourselves, to be on board with the change and move through the changes together as all those steps unfold. The future of our health and happiness does depend on our ability to overcome our unconscious programs. And that's precisely what personal health leaderships help you to do, so that you can find your freedom. It's your life. Be involved in how it turns out. If you enjoyed this program, please subscribe. And if you really loved it, share it with a friend. And if you want more help with this, just book in for a private consultation. And let's just get it done this week, because life is for living. And an ounce of adjustment is always easier to implement than 20 pounds of change. It's time to find your freedom and enjoy the life you've been looking for.